The law on amendments to some laws of Ukraine on admission and indexation of pensions is in action. According to the document, pensions will be disbursed annually by wages increasing. The periods of insurance will include pregnancy-related absence. Virtually all pensions are to be recalculated.
The wage for pension assigning will be increased by the coefficient corresponding to at least 20% of the average salary or income in Ukraine, compared with the previous year, while the insurance payments has already been paid. Each citizen is guaranteed wage increases on the coefficient not less than gross rate of inflation over the past year. In future, the pension will be paid from this salary.
Ukraine will also be provided with gas, particular by reverse supply from four areas: Slovakia, Hungary, Poland, and Romania. According to Line Minister Eduard Stavitsky, overall volume of gas supplies from Europe will be more than 30 cubic meters gas per year, and European gas costs $370 per 1,000 cubic meters, while the Russian gas $400.
If we sum up all gas from the reverse routes, which we are planning, it will be more than 30 billion cubic meters of gas per year. It will allow to diversify gas supplies for our economy by 100%.
Moreover, the representative of Ukraine in Eurasian Economic Union was elected at the meeting of the government. It will be former Economy Minister Viktor Suslov. The Prime held responsible mission to Mr. Suslov to quickly establish relations with the customs union. The representative of the Ukrainian government will start working on the 12th of July in Sochi during the intergovernmental meetings at the level of government heads of Ukraine and Russia. Volodymyr Žila, Maria Kirsanova, Evgen Kovalenko, UTR News.
Volodymyr Rybak ordered to nullify the voting cards of MPs Dombrovsky and Beloha. That's how Ukrainian MPs began their Day of Europe in the parliament. After a lengthy altercation and a council in the speaker's office, MPs got to work. They managed to pass draft laws on public television service and personal data as part of the European package. Other documents planned for this European Wednesday were not included in today's schedule.
The Day of Europe in the Parliament began with a not-so-European announcement. Volodymyr Rybak has nullified the voting cards of Pavlo Beloha and Alexander Dombrovsky. The ruling to withdraw parliamentary mandates has been made by the District Administrative Court of Kiev. According to the Speaker, his appeals were rejected.
The administrative court ruling as of the 11th of June 2012 satisfied the plaintiff's claim, and the chairman of Verkhovna Rada was ordered to take necessary action to make it impossible for Dombrovsky and Beloha to exercise their powers of parliament members of Ukraine.
As a response to the announcement, the opposition proposed to void all defector MPs of their mandates. Speaker's decision has been called an impediment to Ukraine's European integration.
If it is about perturbing of the will of voters, let's have the court avoid mandates of all the traitors and defectors that went against the will of their voters when they took millions worth of bribes and changed their political allegiance.
If 225 majoritarian MPs are stripped of their parliamentary mandate overnight by a court ruling, this means opening of the Pandora's box and effectively destroying parliamentarism.
After a great deal of fighting and the lengthy break, MPs eventually got to voting for draft laws.
Now we are demanding that you pass all the laws regarding the integration of Ukraine into the European Union.
If they think it is being done on their demand, let them think so, as long as the right buttons are pressed to lead Ukraine to European integration. We want this to happen, and that's what we're fighting for.
However, only two draft laws of the European package have been reviewed, one concerning personal data and the other regarding public television. The first one has been passed with President's amendments, while for the latter, MPs chose the government's document as a base.
I'm asking the House to do this one thing today, and it is to begin the process of creation of public broadcasting. Our factions will vote for this. While we continue our decade-long debate over public broadcasting, soon the state-owned or community television and radio may cease to exist.
This draft law was not easy. Its review in the Cabinet of Ministers was a difficult process, and often the President had to intervene and demand speeding up the work on this draft law, and now this day has finally come.
At midday, the opposition refused to vote. MP Alexander Sobolev made a statement that three opposition factions demand to have a lawful decision regarding Beloha and Dombrovsky, and that it's up to the Speaker, Volodymyr Rybak, to decide. Denis Porochniak, Oksana Shupik, Evgeny Stepanov, UTR News.
Ukraine has launched a project to support small and medium agribusiness. It helps Ukrainian agriculture to become more efficient. Pilot farmsteads are chosen for this. According to the investors, if the experience of 6 years program is successful, the project will become an example for the entire agricultural sector. Thus, Ukraine will realize its agricultural potential and will enhance food security.
Inspired by the year before last, High Yield Ministry of Agriculture wants to set a new harvest record by 2025, 130 million tons of grain. The officials say Ukraine will significantly increase the food security of the world.
According to estimations, by 2050 there will be around 9.5 billion people in the world. So starting from today, every year we have to add 1.78% to the production in order to raise production in the world by 100% by year 2050.
The ministry plans to achieve such indicators due to new investments. This year, a new advisory program to help modernize and make more efficient agriculture is run in Ukraine. The project is aimed primarily at supporting of small and medium agribusiness. Pilot farmsteads will not only be offered foreign products, but also will be taught new methods of plant protection.
Food security can be achieved if we produce nourishment without environmental pollution. So the problem is not only to improve the productivity in the short term, but to provide environmental protection as well.
Ukrainian farmers will have the opportunity to introduce new technologies, taking loans from the bank due to the special program using of partial credit guarantees. Bankers say the agricultural sector is one of the most attractive in Ukraine.
The returns of many of our customers reach 25 to 30%, which is much higher than in other industries. Every year we see capitalization growth. This enabled the banking sector to provide more loans than it was in 2009, before the onset of crisis.
The project is previewed for 6 years. Volodymyr Zhila, Serhiy Lefter, Maxim Rasamachin, UTR News.
Ukrainian energy market will be reformed little by little. This will be done taking into account nuclear energy issue. The problems of the last one have been discussed recently in Kyiv about perspectives of the energy production and its usage in our next story.
Ukraine has partially approached the EU standards in energy sphere, as for more than 2 years the country is an actual member of energy community and of course it has got certain obligations.
Ми впроваджуємо основні принципи, які
We're implementing the main principles which have been already realized in Europe and which they are realizing now. First of all, price for energy for customers was economically adequately supported. Second, attraction of investments and so on.
In the frameworks of membership in European Community, Ukraine has also to adopt a decree on internal energy market. The supply of electric power should be competitive in order that customer could choose a provider himself, and the government has to monitor the energy market and give state support, but not to control it manually. Forming of the tariffs should be comprehensive to everybody, and particular issue in European Ukrainian energy, especially atomic relations, is safety.
By the way, it's already done about safety. Once the EU has reviewed the safety operations of the reactors after Fukushima, I know that Ukraine was associated to that process. And there are good experience of combining the Western and the Russian technology to make these reactors safer. So I don't care about the origin of the technology. What we need to do, the two of us together, the EU and Ukraine, is share our experience and share the benefits of this increased safety.
In order to move to European standards with transparent tariffs forming and equality of market participants' rights, Ukraine needs to retire all debts to energy-generating companies. But from the beginning of current year, Ukrainian customers haven't paid for about 50% of electric power. Thus, experts are searching for the ways to increase general economic level during some month till signing of association agreement with the EU. Anna Pershina, Vadim Burlakov, Yevgen Kovalenko, UTR News.
Since the 1st of July 2013, Croatia has officially joined the European Community, thus becoming the 28th member of the EU. Instead, Lithuanian Republic got over the presidency in the European Union. Ambassadors of both countries met to talk about their way to Europe and to help Ukraine with joining the EU.
Croatia joining the European Union is a consequence of 10 years of negotiations with Brussels and radical reforms in the country, says authorized ambassador of Croatia to Ukraine Tomislav Vidošević. Zagreb claimed for joining the European Union in 2003, a year after Croatia became a candidate, but process delayed. Nevertheless, Croatia is ready to share with Ukraine its experience of negotiations with the European Union, ambassador added.
And as we are now in Kiev, in such an important moment, I think our intensive bilateral relations with Ukrainian government can also help in sharing these experiences and helping that Ukraine will sign in Vilnius the Association and Stabilization Agreement.
Also, Ambassador added that the issue of joining the European Union should be a national project for the country and receive full agreement in the parliament.
As I said, we had to meet all of these difficult and the highest possible criteria, all the benchmarks, 33 negotiation chapters that we closed, the first country which had to negotiate in that way.
Instead, Ambassador of Lithuania Petras Vaitiekūnas assured Ukraine should solve issues with selective justice, judicial reform and creation of transparent electoral system. At the same time, he states that through cooperation with Lithuania, Ukraine will be able to overcome all obstacles on the way to European Union, and already this November will sign the association agreement on the summit in Vilnius.
I'm sure that if working together we will overcome all obstacles, and in November during the summit of Eastern Partnership in Vilnius, Ukraine will sign the association agreement with the European Union.
According to head of European Union mission in Ukraine, Jan Tombinsky, Ukraine can be late to adopt all necessary documents before summit in Vilnius, and he asked government to hurry up with implementing of draft bills necessary for starting of execution of second phase of action plan of visa regime liberalization with European Union. Artur Paraverziev, Yanina Yablonska, UTR News.
Ukraine and Belarus are going to actively create the joint enterprises. This was stated by Ambassador of Belarus to Ukraine Valentin Velichko during the welcome reception in honor of the Independence Day of the Republic of Belarus. On the 3rd of July, the Republic commemorates liberation from Nazi invaders. This day is also the day of its independence. On the eve of the holiday, the Embassy of Belarus in Ukraine hosted a state reception. The representatives of the Ministry for Foreign Affairs of Ukraine and foreign counterparts came to congratulate the friendly country. Details further in the report.
The Ukrainian-Belarusian dialogue has intensified in recent years. The visit of President of Belarus Alexander Lukashenko has much contributed to this issue. According to the ambassador of Belarus to Ukraine, Mr. Velichko, this visit was very significant. In particular, the state officials managed to sign a document on the demarcation of borders, as well as several other documents.
We have achieved very good agreements. The first is that there was the traditional exchange of the instruments on the borders. We have also reached the agreement on the development of our technology and energy. Moreover, Belarus will be supplied with machines on the leasing basis. In addition, with a great pleasure we consume the electricity.
The trade turnover between the two countries amounted to almost $8 billion in 2012. However, according to the ambassador, both countries hope to increase this figure in the nearest future. The creation of joint enterprises is the most interesting issue for cooperation.
At present, we have 9 joint enterprises. We produce carriages, elevators, helicopter platforms. We are working transparently and on a mutually beneficial basis.
On the Independence Day, Belarusians recall the joint Ukrainian-Belarusian struggle against the fascist invaders. According to the Kiev officials, this is a common date.
This is not just a usual date. This is a day of liberation from the German invaders. According to my personal and profound belief, this is our joint holiday, because it is a story in which the Russian, Belarusian and Ukrainian peoples have participated together and got great victory.
Ksenia Bugayana, Kostюченko, Yuri Nesterov, UTR News.
And this was the last information for now. Stay tuned to the press review and this day in history programs. I'm telling you goodbye and have a good time.
Ukrainian press review program is to your attention. The new modern tram produced by Lviv plant, Electrotrans, is planned to be put into service in July, informed the Holos Ukrainian newspaper. The tram was made by means of German technologies, but 80% of its details and parts are of Ukrainian production. The first tram sample has been made by the order of Lviv City Council. The machine, which is twice cheaper as comparing to European analogues, was solemnly presented to public with participation of first Vice Prime Minister Alexander Vilko. In my opinion, Lviv can be associated with the song The Old Tram. I wish the city to keep its unique atmosphere and charm, though I would like to see new update trams of Ukrainian production playing in the city, as well as in other regions, he said. The new product offers high-level comfort for passengers. It has low-level entrance bays. Additionally, there are air conditioning system in the saloon and system of reducing vibration and noise. The tram is equipped with cutting-edge technologies which enable saving up to 40% of electric power. Moreover, it's divided into 5 sections, fitting 58 seats. The maximum passenger capacity is up to 250 persons. One such tram costs 12 million hryvnias. All expenses will be covered by means of both state and local budgets in 50-50 ratio. Taking into account the productive capacity of Electromash enterprise, it will be possible to produce up to 100 trams and 100 trolleybuses annually. To remind, 95% of all trams in Ukraine need to be replaced, with an average life service of each unit being 30-35 years. We have been engaged into markets since a long time. We have been manufacturing industrial machinery products for 15 years already. Our vehicle units possess unique features, as hardly will you find any other tram with low-level floor in other CIS countries, commented chairman of the managing board of private joint stock company Concern Electron, Yuri Bubes. The Gazeta Po-Ukrainsky highlighted the Kremlin needed a pro-Russian party to be established in Ukraine. Therefore, Russian officials have sent their emissary to us, explains political scientist Viktor Nebozhenko. Member of Parliament Vadim Novitsky's top priority task to do in Ukrainian Parliament will be to lobby interests of Russia. He has to create his own group, which he will openly lead and perhaps finance. It's most likely that he will lead the Committee on Foreign Affairs, which is currently headed by representative of the Party of Regions, Vitaly Kaluzhny. The event might take place prior to the date of signing of the association agreement with the EU. Vadim Novitsky is presumed to hinder these or other way preparation procedures, signing up and ratification of international documents. Personal business interests are supposed to be the second hidden motive of the billionaire in Russia. A tendency towards strengthening Vladimir Putin's power has been observed. There are hardly economic prospects for oligarchs. Thus, many of them escape to Ukraine, where they adapt to local market. The reason of Novitsky's visit to the Crimea is degradation of pro-Russian organizations in the peninsula. They are in need of new leader. He is an average Russian billionaire of interesting, complex and mysterious nature. Vadim Novitsky is known to be passionate about playing several chess games simultaneously. Some time ago, he communicated closely with Viktor Yushchenko. Some believe he will do everything possible to ruin the plans of adherents of Ukraine's integrating to EU. However, the Kremlin plans may be distorted. Both Rinat Akhmetov and Vadim Novitsky need to secure, to some extent, the favor of European Union. They are supposed to play double game. For instance, Novitsky's personal interest might be obvious. He wants the West to recognize him as a powerful Ukrainian oligarch. In Ukrainian parliament, he is assumed to gather authentic Russians. When a person is known to possess billions of dollars and gets the green light to buy votes to draw ahead of the Party of Regions, there is high chance that his party will be joined by all willing, be it representatives of nowadays Ukrainian opposition power or the Party of Regions. He will easily gather 32 new members and will be able thus to create own faction. It will be his present to Vladimir Putin. Novitsky will stir up the swamp of the Ukrainian politics as little time is left till November, when Ukraine is scheduled to sign an agreement with the EU. Russia is in urgent need to have own instrument in Ukrainian parliament. On the day of sorrow and honoring the memory of those killed during World War II, the Vice Prime Minister presented medal for military merits to the family of the killed soldier Arseny Ivlev, who in 1943 was registered as missing. The medal was found by a search team in autumn 2012 during excavations held on the territory of Dukhovshinsky district of Smolensk region in Russia, the battle site of the 306th Rybchevsk Rifle Division. I express my words of thanks to all those who don't remain indifferent to the fact of the World War II. This medal will symbolize our common family relic, said daughter of the lost soldier Claudia Yemchitska. On the same day, Oleksandr Vilkul held a working meeting with regard to reconstruction works meant to renovate the memorial complex, which will be installed in the city near the monument Peremoga on the occasion of the 70th anniversary of the battle for the Dnipro River. Besides, in the frameworks of a affordable accommodation project that is being realized in Kryvyi Rih, Oleksandr Vilkul held a corresponding off-site meeting on the construction site. The new house offers 36 flats of different type. Due to support of authorities and in the frameworks of state-private partnership within 2010-2012 period, 458 citizens of Kryvyi Rih, workers of industrial enterprises, doctors and servicemen got opportunity to buy own accommodation. The state intends to implement more like programs in the future, marked Oleksandr Vilkul. On the same day, the Vice Prime Minister organized another off-site meeting that discussed the issue of infrastructure development in the city. At present, railway station Rokovata is being constructed in Kryvyi Rih in the frameworks of City Without Suburbs project. Vilkul checked the level of construction works at the railway station and adjacent territories. It will be the second important station after the chief passenger station, which will gather passengers from remote parts of the city. The DEN newspaper informed that Ukrainian Orthodox Church under Kiev Patriarchate has brought unusual amendments to its statute. Last week, during the meeting of Church Council organized by the Patriarch Philaret, a new position of Patriarchal Vicar has been introduced. Following the new rule, the Vicar automatically becomes Patriarchal locum tenens in case of Patriarch death or his inability to perform his duties. For comparison, earlier, when Patriarch couldn't perform his duties anymore, or in case of Patriarch's death, Holy Synod chose locum tenens, and after, with the next 3-6 months, Church Council selected a new head of the church, and now, due to the changes, the statute misses the point about terms to appoint new patriarch. World recognition and pride of the whole community in Transcarpathian region. This week, 2 wooden churches have entered UNESCO World Heritage List. UNESCO is one of the most famous international organizations with worldwide participation. The Zakarpatska Pravda highlighted it promotes the development of national cultures, the protection of historical objects and monuments, as well as revival and returning to countries' units of cultural and spiritual value. Being UNESCO member entails responsibility, while entering UNESCO rating lists brings to overall pride and honor. According to famous art expert Mikhailo Sorokhman, UNESCO recognition equals to Nobel Prize, the highest recognition and the true pride. But cultural heritage protectors in Transcarpathian region say that such recognition entails additional responsibility for them in terms of historical objects, protection and maintenance. Overall recognition is the first stage and hard work is the second. Chief expert in the sphere of cultural heritage protection at Department for Culture of Transcarpathian Regional State Administration Tomasz Sobko explained. For example, Uzhotsky Church has undergone unusual repair works, in particular